podcast on YouTube, as seen on TalkSport. Talking everything Leicester City. Run by the fans. For the fans.
Welcome to the Leicester Fan TV podcast. We're here again with Sam and Reedy. So much to talk about, so many things going on at the club at the moment, on the pitch, off the pitch. Is it too hot? I'm here in a t-shirt. Maybe it is too hot to do a podcast today. I don't know. Sam, welcome to the show.
Yes, hello, welcome, obviously.
Have you recovered from Saturday, the heat wave?
I'm awake from Saturday now. It was...
I want to start with the temperature around the King Power Stadium, because it was hot that day. So hot that we were wearing Speedos and having to fan ourselves. The players on the pitch were obviously getting sweating in that 16-degree heat.
Obviously you're being sarcastic right
yes,
now. It's
obviously.
It's just excuse after excuse from Rodgers himself. I know we said we wouldn't talk about it too much, but it isn't just Vieira, Palace's manager, brand new manager, bearing in mind, past 2-3 seasons, he's just come into managering. And he blatantly said Palace were poor, his team were poor. Rodgers came out and said Palace were good, we didn't score because it was too hot. It's just excuses. It wasn't hot, it's middle of October. All the players, I saw photos before the game, they were rocking up in full tracksuits. Madison had a big coat and a beanie on it. They're not hot. It's just excuse after excuse. And Top was shaking his head after the game. He was clearly not happy after the match, but is he going to sack him? I highly doubt it. We've got 2 big games this week in Leeds and Wolves on Sunday. Both teams are probably 6-pointers for us.
It's one of those things, and we are having a bit of a joke about it and having a laugh. But we were all in the car on the way back from the match, and as we always do, you listen to the radio, and Brendan Rodgers is being interviewed, and it's always like, what is he going to say today? It's almost like we're joking now and saying, what's today's excuse going to be? What's his logic going to be? And when he came out there and said, well, it was hot today, and then he mentioned it twice in the interview we were listening to about that it was hot for the players out there. And we're all looking at each other in the car going, well, we're all wearing coats. It's 16 degrees on the car temperature. It's the 16th of August. Sorry, 16th of October. It wasn't the 16th. The first game of the season, Sam, was blisteringly hot at home in August, and Brendan Rodgers didn't make any substitutes. That was a hot day, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a deluded manager. Honestly, I don't understand why fans are still happy with him here. I don't think they are. I think, like myself, I'm beyond the point of, if he's here, at least he could turn it around whilst he's here, but he just can't. It's just excuse after excuse. He's had past 2 games. We should have beat Palace. They were poor. They were really poor. We should have come away with all 3 points at home. We were just as bad as they were. There's no way to walk around it. I think you've got to just look at this week now. We've got Leeds coming up on Thursday, and then Wolves again, like we did last season in Europa League. Got 2 big games. Who do we play? Probably going to have to rest some players because it's 2 games quite quick after each other. And I genuinely can't see where we're picking up the points this week again.
Sam's obviously pretty depressed. Let's try. Reedy, you're normally Mr. Bubbly, Mr. Lively, positive. Let's start with that heat comment, the hot comment. What is your take on some of Brendan's post-match? He'll be saying the grass is too green or the ball is too round next week, won't he?
It's hard because I do want to kind of back him, but the excuse he's coming out with is just delusional, isn't it? Like, again, you could say that excuse the first game of the season, it was absolutely blistering. We couldn't stand it at a time when we were in the office. So it's like, how can you say it in that game where you're 0-0, you barely had a good chance on goal, and you maybe saying it's an excuse for saying that we just weren't good enough to score? I don't know. Again, coming to Thursday, what will this excuse be? If we win, it'll be like a brilliant performance. If we lose, it's like, what we're thinking this week then? What's the excuse going to be this week? So I'm not too sure, but I hope he finds a way out of this kind of hole at the moment, because he's just making excuses out of just trying to get away from it, really, isn't he? So.
That's what it feels like, Sam, that he is he points the finger or suggests to point the finger at lots of places. I think this season, I mean, even the fans have come under fire from him after, I think one of the games, was it Brighton away or whatever, he started to say about the fans. But I rarely hear, I mean, like you say, Patrick Vieira came out and said, I don't think we're very good today. It'd be quite refreshing to hear Brendan come out with a bit of that, wouldn't it? And say, well, yeah.
I'm not pointing the finger at Rodgers anymore. I'm pointing it at top, our owner. He needs to, pull his finger out a little bit, and he needs to sort out the club, because he's, for whatever reason, him and the board have backed Rodgers throughout this period. And again, we're 11 games into the season with 1 win and 1 draw. 2 draws now after Palace, and we're dead last on the same points as Forest. We're only 19th place because of goal difference. Let's be honest, I think we've conceded the most this season. Our defence is poor. We've got a new set-piece coaching, and it doesn't really look like he's improved anything realistically. He's been here for over a month now. And I know that's probably not loads of time, but for football, it's a quick turnaround. You've got to be ready to come straight in. Sean Dyche's not got a job. I'm saying it still again. We should bring him in today. Rodgers should go. We should just pay him off and be done with that chapter. Be thankful for what he's done for us in the past. Move on from now, because the longer we keep him, the more of a villain he's going to become at Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, Reedy, I hear what Sam's saying there with when he's talking about Rodgers. Some of my criticisms of Brendan Rodgers, because I still do sort of back him, but I don't feel he's giving me much to back him on. Because Saturday I look at Rodgers' impact on the game. He's the manager. We could look at the starting 11. I want to look at the starting 11, and then I want to talk to you about substitutions. But if that starting 11, there was big decisions maybe to be done there, in my opinion, Reedy. Danny Ward could have been dropped for Iverson. Daniel Amate could have been... I mean, you've got 2 international centre-backs. Yannick Vestergaard plays for Denmark. You've got Kaglar Soyuncu plays for Turkey. Neither are anywhere near starting. Is Rodgers making much of an impact when he's even picking the 11 to kick off?
I think that's the main reason I'm Rodgers at the moment, because he's not picking the right players. It's more like Youri Tielemans, who hasn't been on top of his form, other than maybe the Forest game, which was probably his best performance this season. And then you've got, the likes of Danny Ward.
Sorry, just add to that. Tielemans, player who wants to leave, was captain against Palace.
Oh, yeah.
It should be Maddison.
Yeah, it should be Maddison. But
everybody said that. Every fan we spoke to outside said, why is Maddison not captain? Why have they made Youri, the guy who doesn't want to be here, captain?
Yeah, again, you've got to think of what is Rodgers saying into these players, like, say, Maddison, Dewsbury, probably should have been captain in that game when Evans got dropped, injured. But going into the substitutions as well, it's like, if you're having someone like Daka, which for me is probably one of the biggest threats against Crystal Palace, to say out of all of them, it was Daka. To see Vardy getting warmed up on the bench, and then you see him coming on for Daka when you should be probably putting both up front, and then you bring on Kel 4 minutes to go, and you just think, what's the point?
I said,
bring him on at like 75 minutes at least that early, just to give him a bit of a running together with Vardy. And when he came on, yes, he was the impactful sub, but it was just too late. Yeah, he had about 2 shots on target, and that was it.
Plus, it was about 60 minutes too late for Nacho to come on for Barnes, because Barnes was having a pretty stinker of a game, to be honest.
I think someone said that he was the most impactful on match today.
He's too predictable, Barnes. He's good when he knows he cut, but he's going to cut in. Any right back that knows how Barnes plays are going to be easy. He'd lost the ball 9 times out of 10 on Palace. He didn't do much with it. Nacho for me, he's been such an impact player. I don't know why he's not in that team anyway from the start. We never play well with one striker up front. We play with one winger, and we play with Maddison.
Here's on for you now. Maddison is not going to be able to play against Leeds. I think that could be a good thing for us, because it means we have to switch things up. Does it mean we go to two up top because we've not got a winger anymore?
I agree and disagree. I think it's a good thing that Maddison's our best player. For me, we say it's a good thing that it changes it, but Rodgers just needs to know Maddison's a central attacking midfielder. Yeah. Stop playing him on the wing. It's not rocket science. It's like playing Soyuncu as a striker. He's not a striker. Yeah. He might bag you a goal every 120 games, but he's not a striker. It's just play Maddison in his position. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. He's on whatever ridiculous money, 200 grand a week. and he's putting players in the wrong position. Tielemans has been poor for the past year and a half, and he's still in the team. What does Pratt have to do? Kaglar Soyuncu,
I thought Pratt did really well when he came on. The few wins he made, I think he deserves that spot again.
Well, he's not
going to drop 2 wins, is he? That's the problem.
No, but my problem is with all of it is like Soyuncu. He's clearly got a grudge with him. They've got personal problems with Soyuncu. That shouldn't affect playing him if he needs to be played. Amati can be a good player, but he's a liability, and he was a massive liability on Saturday. His first touch of the pitch, he gave the ball away, and any team that's not, if any team that has a good up-front team and, on their day, if you give that to an Everton or a Spurs, just a team on a little bit of form, they'll put it away easily. It's a tough one to talk about the whole situation, and obviously because we've got 2 games this week and Rodgers being charged, because it's very repetitive at the moment. But it is, what's the next excuse going to be and not?
Well, I think that was part of my issue with Saturday. Like I say, the starting 11, Rodgers didn't really make any impact. Any of us could have picked that 11 team. It would have been a braver person.
Even picking the subs, was it?
Well, it would have been, that's what I say. It would have been a braver decision to make some of those changes, to put Soyuncu in, to maybe drop Danny Ward. And then the substitutions, like we've talked about, they were just like for like. Vardy on for Daka is almost the same type of player for the same type of player. And the other substitutions, Tielemans comes off, Dennis Pratt comes on, that's pretty similar. It wasn't until Iheanacho was put on that it by default, because Iheanacho isn't the same sort of player as Harvey Barnes.
No, but he was playing on the wing still.
Yeah, but he offers more, because what we've always said about Iheanacho, what he does is he brings other players into play. He looks after the ball, and then he will. You can't quite be sure what Iheanacho's going to do, because sometimes he will have a shot.
I think,
and sometimes he will have a pass.
Just with the lineup as well, I don't understand. Our vice captain at the moment is Mark Albrighton.
Yeah, winger.
Who's a right winger.
Yes.
And we're saying we don't have a right winger, but we have a vice captain who's a right winger who will give you a 6, 7 out of 10 every game. But he's Mr. Consistent.
Does that mean that he maybe comes in this week? Because again, we've not got a captain.
But he should be in every week.
Vice captain now, does he come in? Does
Albrighton come in if we want to play with wingers, Albrighton should be in that team every week. There's no reason to play with Maddison. You drop one midfielder, you drop Tielemans and put Albrighton. I'm sorry, it's not rocket science. You drop players out of form and you put players in to fit the suit you want to play.
Again, Rodgers' post-match interview, he was referring to the lack of wingers and having to play Maddison out of position there. But a question that really is why not, like Sam has suggested, play Maddison in his best role, which is that number 10 role that we all know. And if you want a winger, play a winger. Play Mark Albrighton. Either Mark Albrighton is good enough to play for Leicester City, or he isn't. And why did we give him a new extension and make him vice captain?
Exactly. That's the thing I don't get. And obviously, another wing people will be talking about is Perez as well. He's not actually a winger, but
he can play there.
But that's what I mean. He's not actually a winger, but he's played there the last few.
I'd rather play Perez or Albrighton on the wing.
Yes, I would. Yeah,
because I'd rather have Maddison in the number 10 role.
Yeah. Again, thinking about it realistically, we've not got Evans in the team now, who was captain. Vice captain is.
How long is he out for? Is he out for long?
I don't know, but the vice captain is there ready for you. If you've given it him and you've given him an extension, he should be playing this Thursday, surely.
Again, this is just
Rodgers, need a captain there.
This is just Rodgers being a delusional manager. Liverpool fans said, he was only at 2 seasons at Celtic, and it's a Farmers League anyway. Let's be honest, he was at the best club in the Farmers League. It's not hard to win stuff there. He's a delusional man at the moment. He doesn't know who to play. We all say when we see the starting 11, Soyuncu should be in that team instead of Amati. You would have thought that. Ward should be dropped. Everyone's been saying Iverson should be given a chance, but he won't do. Up front, we've all said we can't play with one striker. We're awful as one striker. We've all said Maddison shouldn't be on the wing. But what's he going to do against Thursday? He would play it if he could. Maddison now, obviously, because he did a stupid dive against Palace, he's now out for the match, so we're going to have to swap it around. But again, I don't see him changing the position much around, and I think we're just going to do typical Rodgers ball. The amount of times we're passing around the back, we get the ball away so much against Palace, and we couldn't put 5 passes together. The fans around us, the person in front was swearing his head off the whole match because it's just
frustrating.
Football. It's frustrating to watch, knowing that 18 months ago we were doing slick passing football into the box. And that was under Rodgers. He's changed how he wants to play, and he's too stubborn to realise it's not working and to change it up. And we're going to do the same against Leeds. We're going to do the same against Wolves under Rodgers, which is why my biggest problem is we need to change him. It's not that he's not been a good manager or he's not thinking right. It's just he's too stubborn and too delusional to realise that folding. He said we're not in a relegation battle. Well, we're sat at the same points as Forest, who are dead last at the moment. We're 19th place, joint bottom with Forest at the moment. How is that not a relegation battle after 11 games? I mean, we're a quarter of the way into the season. That surely is a relegation start.
Yeah. We've been singing Maddison's praises this season and saying he should be captain and quite rightly, potentially even considered for England for Qatar in a few weeks' time. But really, I hate to see people diving and cheating. I wish he would not have that part to his game at times. I know you'd say, well, every now and then it'll win you a penalty or whatever, and if it had conned the ref at the end there and got a penalty and we'd won 1-0, I wouldn't be saying this. But I'd like to think I would, because, I mean, what was he doing there last minute of the game?
I honestly, I'm not going to back him for doing it, but the way he went down and then saw himself, did that to himself, I think he was expecting a contact, and if there was contact, it would have been a penalty. But I think he just went down too easy at that point. And again, I don't think he's like a Vardy style where he will go down if he gets the slightest touch. He was expecting that touch, and that's why he went down. But yeah, it was a dive at the end of the story. But
It's cost him the match against Thursday against Leeds.
It has again, but as much as you maybe say he's our best player, I think it might actually help us in a way.
It does force Brendan to make some decisions, but he's being forced on last Saturday because Evans was not fit to make a decision. What will he do this week, Sam?
I think we won't see much change. I think realistically we're going to see Pratt in. I think it's going to be as simple as that. I think we're going to do
Pratt on the wing.
Pratt's not going to be on the wing though.
Yeah, Pratt on the wing.
But we've played Pratt on the wing. That's what I'm saying. Rodgers played Pratt on the wing when he's been playing. And
you're going to play a mid-central midfielder.
But Rodgers will. Rodgers has done. He's done it before with Pratt. We've played him on the wing. I personally wouldn't do it. Obviously, I'd play Albrighton if you're going to play with two wingers.
Yeah, Albrighton or Perez.
Yeah, or play Perez as a cam, because that's his actual position. If you're going to play someone as a central attacking midfielder when Maddison's out, play Perez, because that's his position. It's not rocket science, like I keep saying. Rodgers is making it 10 times harder than it needs to be, and it genuinely isn't. All as fans can see, we all say the same thing as fans. We know how it works because it's our club, and we know how it should line up. Obviously, when Amati was in the team,
you see, I quite like Amati. And he is a utility player, and he can step in. And there's been times last season, before his injury, he's done really quite well. But he gives you the heebie-jeebies, the jitters. Because Saturday, like you say, Sam, it wasn't 1 or 2 times; it was 4 or 5 times.
Every time Amati was on the ball, I was worried. I could see every time the ball got passed back to Ward, I was worried because if Ward messes up. Then he went back to Martin's foot. Oh, here we go again. He's going to lose the ball again. And it just feels like...
Well, he is a
You're putting us at risk. And again, I think confidence helps him because, again, the more games he got last season, he did come to be a decent defender.
I always think of Amati more as a fullback.
Yeah.
And then if with 10, 15 minutes to go, you want to change it and go to 3 at the back or whatever, Amati can step in and play as part of a 3 at the back, but I think as part of a 2, he just looked exposed at times. We also, Danny Ward, we've criticised him heavily, but Sam, he made 1 save on Saturday. It was the only shot on target from Palace.
Yeah,
did a bit of funny running around. Didn't know whether to come or go in the second half as well, but
you summed it up really. Palace 1 shot on target. That's all they were on Saturday. They were nothing more. They were nothing less. They were below average. They had 1 shot on target, and Danny Ward saved it. It was an okay shot. I would expect most.
It was savable, but he did save it.
Premier keepers to save it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I'm not giving him high praise for it or anything. I think he got man of the match on the Premier League website.
Who, Danny Ward?
Yeah.
He didn't have anything to do, did he? Really?
I think so.
Did he really?
I don't have a clue.
I'm pretty sure if you look on Premier League,
their keeper made plenty of saves, but they were nothing
It was all like
It was all, yeah, it was all stuff he should have dealt with, which he did.
Yeah,
But he was busier.
I mean, again, Ward kept himself safe probably for the Leeds game.
Oh, without a question, he'll play, yeah.
Especially under Rodgers. I'm not here slating Ward, because obviously I want him to do well, because what other choice do you have other than Iverson and whoever that Cardiff player
Smith
is?
is,
Don't care about him. Yeah, whoever. Taking his $500,000 a year, that guy. But it's just...
Not bitter there.
No, well, we just throw money around willy-nilly, don't we, though?
I hear what
we're
you're
doing
saying.
it all like... Sumer, again, he played... I think average. I thought Mendy looked better than him when he came on. I'm not going to lie. Mendy was, for me at the moment, Mendy's the number one defensive midfielder we should put ahead of Ndidi and Sumer. Sumer, he's not consistent enough. He's too lanky, I think is the word, for that kind of role. He just kind of lugs around. Ndidi, he's a liability of his injuries. Mendy, again, he has been a bit of
I thought Mendy did all right.
Has been a bit of a liability of his injuries, but when he comes in, he was running around the pitch, and I think he deserves to be in that number one spot against Leeds.
I mean, really, we've not got long left in this podcast, but Jamie Vardy just can't seem to get firing this season. Doesn't, again, Daka a bit the same in the fact that we just didn't seem to give any of them much to go on. You need to feed these strikers. And Vardy just, don't even remember Vardy having a sniff in his 30 minutes.
I think on Saturday, I think, for me, and it's probably because I like him more, I think Daka did have a few good runs, as much as we didn't get
one shot in the first half, which he took nicely.
I know we didn't give him the service, but I think the runs he made to try and get to the balls, I think, was a lot better than what Vardy's been doing recently. But again, you're bringing on someone like Vardy for him. I just felt like we completely lost any attack when he came on. I think Daka did more than him, and when Vardy came on, it just looked like there was no attack left. Barnes was there, but again, you said, Sam, that he wasn't doing much, and again, Maddison really just kept trying to go more central because that's where his position is. He did stay wide a lot of the time, but he's not a winger, so you really only got Vardy up front, and then Barnes, who's not really helping anywhere. So,
just to add to your point, I agree with the fact that we don't play with enough, guile up front. We don't play with enough oomph. We've got all these great creating time. We scored these goals that we have done. We're still not playing to the strengths we've got. Brendan Rodgers should have never signed Patson Daka the way he plays strikers. He doesn't suit the way Rodgers likes to play a striker. As we've seen with Vardy, Vardy's struggling. He's not scored at all this season yet. Daka scored a few decent goals. I think, I've kind of got to disagree with you, really. I don't think he made enough runs in behind. I think he kind of was just standing around, playing the offside trap a little bit. I don't think he was making enough runs, really. I think he was too wide himself a lot of the time because it was so open on the right side. I just struggled to see how, we play with a striker who, we've seen him at times where he did get a lob ball. He got a few lob balls against Palace and he was running and he was slowing down against the centre half when he's a fast striker. He could easily outpace us. He's running into the corner and waiting for his team to get to him. I don't know if that's how he's been taught how to play. If that's how Rodgers wants him to play. But if anyone was like Vardy on his heyday, we would have took it around the defender, done a sidestep around the keeper and bag it into an open net. I don't see why Daka didn't do that. If you watch the chances he got, he could easily outpace those centre-halves, a country mile, and he wasn't. So I don't know if that's due to confidence or he doesn't know the Premier League or if he's not up for the Premier League. But I think personally Daka's he's got, the rest of the season to show what he's worth. But at the moment, I think a few goals here and there is just average. But again, I think that's the way Rodgers is playing him. That's why I think a new manager needs to come in and really work this team to their strengths, which is what Rodgers isn't doing.
Well, we've got 2 games coming up this week. Leeds on Thursday, Wolves on Sunday. It's going to be a busy time on Leicester Fan TV. So, as ever, make sure you stay tuned to all our channels. Follow us at Leicester Fan TV on all social media. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's edition of the podcast. It feels like we're on Eat, Sleep, Watch Leicester, Repeat again. So let's see what happens this week. Anything can happen against Leeds. Probably Rodgers will pick the same old, and make the same old substitution. 63 minutes, a substitution, like for like, 70 minutes. It's so predictable. Anyway, from me, Phil, from Sam, from Reedy, Leicester Fan TV. We'll see you on the next edition.